Well, guys, I am back. I am back. I am back. I didn't think I was going to do another video tonight, but guess what? I just got off the internet watching a Jaguar ride video. And guess what? I did not think I would live to see the day that she accept her mama's death. But guess what? She did. In this particular video, she is saying, "Oh, I am going to eulogize my mom. I got to remember my mom now that she has passed on." I said, what in the world? What did I miss? What did I miss? But you know what? I got to say, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Who said that? I think it was Robert De Niro or Al Pacino. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. But hey, you got to give the people what they want. Remember that song? Got to give the people. Give the people what they want. Listen, I know I can't sing. Do not drop it in the comments that I cannot sing. I already know that fact. Okay? Let's get on with the video. But don't forget to hit the like bell and subscribe. Yada dee, yada dee, yada dee. You guys know the drill. So, without further ado, here is Miss Jaguar Wright telling us all about it. How she came to accept her mama's death. Let's talk about it. But before we talk about it, Jaguar got some background music playing, and I'm going to have to drown that out with some of my own music that is acceptable to YouTube. Yeah, let's get on with it.
I'm different than most people. I gave up being sad and grief after my son died. I just want to honor life.
So she is starting us out by saying she wants to honor life. She gave up grieving. And that is part of the acceptance. Remember some videos ago I mentioned the stages of the grieving process. Now she's back to the acceptance phase because obviously someone sent her proof that her mama died.
I had a chicken cheesesteak the other day in Vegas. And it was a real Philly cheesesteak from Tony Luke Jr.'s in Vegas. And I ordered my mom's favorite cheesesteak. And I ate that and I thought of her and I laughed. And I think about all of it, the good, the bad, but just honoring the life, the existence of it. And I think that's the thing that writing my mother's obituary has been really hard. Because at times I find myself pushing the line on lying.
So she is writing her mother's obituary. So she has gotten to that acceptance phase. And it's a good learning experience, I guess, for all of us looking from the outside in. That death is never easy. Even if you have bad will towards the person who died, you always remember the good times. Because like Jaguar said, she and her mama was not always on good terms, but they loved each other, and she's remembering the good, which is what you're supposed to do, not dwell on the bad. You hear that, Jaguar? So when you slip and start talking bad about your mama, remember those words. Remember the good. Let's continue.
And you shouldn't have to lie about a life. You should be able to just call it out for what it was and celebrate and be grateful for making it through.
So Jaguar seems a little more relaxed. Clearly, someone must have posted something about her mother's death, or maybe the death certificate or something on the internet. So she is at peace and at ease with the finality of her mom passing. And that's all you want when your loved one has passed. You want closure. And I think someone gives her closure, and that was very good of them to do.
You know, and shout out to Shaka Zulu, my nephew, and shout out to Solar, shout out to Azine, and shout out to Velvet, and shout out to Janae. That carbon shit, that nation shit. And now the people that were obsessed with the story, they don't want to let it go. He's in jail for life. they don't want to let it go. Guess what? Guess who else doesn't want to let it go? The wives. They want to keep it going. They want to turn this into a movement.
Well, of course, the wives want to keep it going. This carbonation memory that a lot of people have, they want to keep that up front because Bishop is in there in the prison and he is really regulating, he's a regulator. He's telling these women what to do and he's keeping his foot on them from prison. He's still controlling these women. So that's one reason they want to keep everything still fresh in the hearts of people and the minds of people. The other reason is that if it fades, they're going to be irrelevant. So now that he's in prison for life, I'm wondering if Jaguar were still going to start her movement, Carbon Island, and be the high priestess. When one organization dies, there's always some other one popping up. So I won't be surprised if Jaguar starts that movement, Carbon Island, like she's been talking about months ago. She said it was for the survivors, for them to, I guess, have a place to go or some foolishness. But if you want to help these survivors, you can tell them to go into therapy and start their life over. They don't need to join another movement that's similar to carbonation. Somebody's going to be controlling them and pulling the strings and have these poor people being led by someone who needs guidance themselves.
And what I would rather wish than people wish me condolences, wish me happy memories. Yes. Because that's really what's going to get you through. And when I go back and I look at my relationship with my mom, I spoil her to death. I treated her better than any child she ever had. And I honored her even when she stabbed me in the back. Even when, shit wasn't good.
Well, because we are from the outside looking in, we didn't get to see the total dynamic between Jaguar and her mother. But what we did see, what little bit we did see on the internet, that's up for interpretation. She said she treated her mother better than anybody else could have treated her. Well, that's questionable.
Like, I'm not going to sit here in front like me and my mom had a perfect relationship. We did not. And there are things that were still undone between us, but I got complete with them while she was alive. So whether it was done or undone, I'm complete.
So you guys heard it. There you go. Jaguar said she's complete, meaning she's got closure. She has no regrets. She has resigned herself to the fact that her mother has passed on, and she's good. She's in a good place, and she's able to move on, in other words.
You know what I'm saying? I don't need her for those conversations. We completed that before she passed. And I just find it interesting that my so-called half biological sibling, because that's Larry Lacey's child.
Oh, Jaguar, Jaguar, Jaguar. Just when I thought you turned a new leaf, you backsliding. You were doing so good. How are you going to start talking bad about Lachelle? Half Larry Lacey's child. But guess what? You share the same DNA with your mother. You got your mother's DNA, and Lachelle got the same mama's DNA. So you guys are sisters, whether you like it or not.
She is no part of right. No way. Rights don't play about their dead. We claim our dead. And we bury them properly.
And we buried them properly. She has accepted the death of her mother totally. Now, I won't be surprised if by next week she has backslid again into the denial phase.
We don't call bloggers and set up interviews and relay death notices on Facebook. Rights don't do that. I don't know what kind of weirdo family people y'all know, but we claim our dead. So, how do we feel about that? How do we feel about my sister who did nothing but can bring my mother strife and grief and misery all our lives?
You know, when you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones. What is Jaguar saying, folks? She's saying that she didn't bring her parents grief and misery and strife. Because as I can recall, when her family did that interview with Tasha K, they told a whole lot of stories about Jaguar. One in particular of her burying her father's suit in the backyard. So you want to tell me, Jaguar, you didn't bring your parents grief? I think not. So be very careful when you start throwing stones at another person's glass house.
She was just the worst shit that ever happened to all of us. And even now, in my mother's death, she's still playing games. And got a bunch of bloggers putting out Cash App so she can collect money for a funeral she ain't planning. Meanwhile, I got some nigga named Trayvon calling me from a 201 number, and every time I call, he don't answer. But then he's always leaving me these paragraph messages about some shit. About me collecting my mother's remains. Why the don't you answer the phone, Trayvon? When I call him, don't worry, I ain't gonna dox Trayvon today. I ain't gonna dox Trayvon. It ain't even worth it. But, you know, what I do know is this. What don't come out in the wash won't come out in the rinse.
Well, if Jaguar don't know who this Trayvon is, why is she returning a phone call? Why is she calling this guy back if she don't know who it is? If the guy said, collect your mother's remains, I would think that's a prank call. Because obviously, Lachelle, if they cremated the mom, they're not going to give the remains to Jaguar. And why would they give the remains to Jaguar? We saw what she did with her son's ashes. She threw it on folks in front of the barbershop. She rubbed some of the ashes on her face. She allowed that guy, what's his name, Solar, to rub some on his face. So what's going to happen next time she get in that kind of mood that she was in? That kind of unhinged mood that she was in. She's going to throw ashes again, her mother's ashes this time. So I would say no. They should not give the ashes to Jaguar because Jaguar has proven that she's not responsible enough to have ashes in her possession.
At the end of the day, all this shit gonna get clean. And I promise you this, I will claim my dead and I will honor and do the proper last rites over my mother's life. I got nothing to feel bad about. Exactly a 201 number. I don't know. Maybe he in Tom's River. I know one thing. Lachelle Angela Wright Wallace, the rapist Maria, the crack baby deliverer, the thief du jour, who only steals for herself and not even for her own children. I'm talking about you, bitch. My mother's greatest mistake. She should have dropped you in a dumpster.
I just have to wonder, when Jaguar dies, besides her son Sam, who else is going to attend her funeral? That's what I'm wondering right now.
Whatever. You know, she got lucky. People loved her while she stabbed everybody in the back.
The way Jaguar talks about her sister reminds me, just takes me back to a person who is so jealous and just consumed with jealousy that it really takes over their life, because this is really intense, this hatred that she has for her own sister.
And she's still playing games. Still playing everybody's face. At 56 years old. That's the kind of sense you're making at 56. This bitch is almost a decade older than me, and she acts like she's 15 years younger than me, and it's been that way since I was a baby. Which would mean, by the time I was 3 years old, she was -7. Weddings and funerals, they bring the worst out in families. I don't know what I say.
I know Jaguar is not blaming the funeral on her bad behavior, because Jaguar has been carrying on like a lunatic towards her own family for some time now.
When somebody die, people say stupid shit. When somebody get married, everybody asks for all the wrong shit. I tell you what I know. Cherish every moment. That's what I say.
True words have never been spoken. You should live every day like if it's your last. Enjoy life because you don't know when your time is up.
Moment. Because we get a date coming in, but we do not get a date going out. Enjoy your life. Because this is how we're ending our day. Turn your life into art. My mom would have loved it up here. She would have loved to have come up here for sunset. Me and my mom used to go walking just right over there. Just a year and a half ago. Me and that old girl would do 10 laps around that whole area to stop and snack and have a meal. And
it's good when people come to the point of acceptance whenever there's a death of a loved one, because you know that person from that point on is able to move on with their life. Of course, you never forget your loved one. You never forget the existence of that person. And you may fall back and with the denial from time to time and go back and forth with the grieving process. But when you get to that acceptance phase, that is the beginning of you really accepting the death of that person, and you're coming to terms with it, and you're able to go on with your life.
Living in Bishop Arts when we first came back to Dallas before we did the Blue Couch, the second real life interview. We lived in Bishop Arts for about 6 months until we moved to Legacy. What a disaster. But this is where I would bring my mom to walk 2-3 days a week.
So this video is about Jaguar reminiscing the life of her mother and kind of celebrating in the memory of her mother. But isn't it a shame that she's doing it with YouTubers and not her own immediate family? Because she doesn't have that close connection with her sisters and, of course, other family members.
We liked living in Dallas. Giovanni loved it here. So to say. For real. For real, for real. So I'm about to get in this pool.
So guys, that is the end of that video. Jaguar has accepted the death of her mother for now. I don't know if it's permanent. Like I said before, by next week she might be in the denial phase again. We don't know, but that's how the death process goes. 1 minute you are accepting it and the next minute you are denying it. Anyway guys, I'm over now. Don't forget to hit that like bell and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you for watching.